Today I have Al Miller, who is a staple in Cleveland as far as the wrestling, as a wrestling coach, and he's been in the coaching wrestling for over 45 years and has over 5 state championships under his belt, and an all-around interesting guy.
Certain subjects.
Yeah.
I did that for a while. But now I just go over and watch him practice. I helped him for several years at the B team. A lot of times, whoever the head coach was would take first string and go off, and then I'd take the kids left over and we'd go to Ottawa or we'd go to Red Bank and go to some of these, they call them JV tournaments. I enjoyed doing that too.
What'd you teach in school?
History would be our social studies would be the all-encompassing. American history, a lot of subjects. I taught comparative religion, which I really enjoyed.
In high school?
Mm-hmm. And then I also taught contemporary issues, which was a lot of fun. That was a senior level course.
What's comparative religions?
First we had a set of books with the 5 major religions of the world: Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Judaism. And we had a text series from there. And then I kind of went off and did some studies on other unique religions, Zoroastrianism. We got
Zoroastrianism?
Zorro, the Zoroastrianism.
Is that a religion?
Yes. Quite large in India now.
Golly.
But it's been around. It was the religion of the ancient Persians.
Where did they get that religion from?
The Iran area of the world, Persia. That's where it originated from. It's been a while since I've taught it, so I have to think of some of the things. But
what is there, like 700,000 religions in the world?
There's a lot. There's a lot. But as far as organized and major established, some of them I didn't get around to. I got to Buddhism. I didn't get to get Confucianism, which some argue that's not, it's a philosophy, not a religion. But,
so it's the same way with Buddhism, right?
Oh yeah. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed teaching that.
What is it about that interests you?
Gosh. Well, I just recognizing that people have different beliefs, and that these beliefs guide people, and they have important impacts in the world. That just kind of followed. I think my mother steered me in that direction. She was very interested in certain, especially she followed Judaism quite a bit, and traced it. So, I've never really thought about what led me to that.
But you like mysteries, or is it just religious type of?
Yes, just that. And it was funny how we kind of got it. I started teaching it, and Maxine Hughes was the principal then. And Maxine came up to me in the hallway and said, "Mr. Miller, this class you're teaching," she said, "we're going to keep teaching it. We need to do better. We need to expand it." And I said, so she said, "Let me work on it." That afternoon, she said, "I got you a plane ticket to Minneapolis over the Christmas holidays. Go up there and spend 3 or 4 days. There's 2 men up there that have written the whole program." So I went up to Minneapolis and spent 3 days right around Christmas time, and started the course with more backing, because I didn't even take those courses in college.
That's not something we really.
Really didn't have any idea of Buddhism. I did a Judaism and Hinduism. I had a little bit of understanding, but and that's what I started doing. I would take a year at a time and really focus on it. And then about the 2nd or 3rd year that I taught it, I got a grant to go to the Middle East and study over there for a summer. That helped me in Judaism and Christianity and Islam, all 3, with those religions. So it was interesting times.
Let's see, the Gita is which Bible?
Bhagavad Gita. That is getting me confused. Gita would be Hinduism, I believe. Yeah, the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their Bible.
Yeah. Well, they have several. That's what some other religions criticize them for. Take, for example, Islam recognizes and honors any religion that has one book. And if you're a people of the book, then you recognize. Now, if you've got 2 or 3, which that's their problem with Hinduism.
Yeah.
There's not as much respect of a religion. But yeah.
So it's not that you taught which one's right or wrong,
No.
just that there's different ones.
That never entered in my class, other than the point about the first day, this will not be taught this way.
Right.
I used to start the first day of class. I would turn on my CD player and play REM's "Losing My Religion."
Yeah.
I'd play, and I'd see these kids start looking at each other, and I'd play the whole song, and I'd go, "Now, that's not going to happen in this class.
Right.
Nobody's going to lose a religion.
You stay with what with what you believe."
There was never any type of comparison. It was, this is their belief. This is what influences them, and but no, there was no proselytizing or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because I knew I could get in trouble, but I also just, that's not the way if we started siding up, kids wouldn't have learned anything. I wanted them to keep an open
Isn't that
mind.
true in any of the educations, really? If it's not
probably
exact.
right. I agree.
Do you think that your claim to fame is wrestling, though? How did you end up with that?
Started in wrestling. Well, my good buddies, a couple of them. Everybody tries out for basketball.
Yeah.
In the 7th grade, and I didn't even make the first cut. I think they told me so.
Yeah.
I saw where guys my size, which was small, were doing something. Of course, back then wearing a leather jacket was something really big, and I noticed that wrestlers got to wear the jackets just like the big football players. So that got me in the room, and I don't know. I can't explain my love for the sport since then, because Lord knows I got beat up enough.
Where were you originally from?
Red Bank.
Oh, you were born and raised in Red Bank.
I was born in Atlanta when my dad was going to Georgia Tech, and lived in Atlanta in my early childhood, but I don't remember any of that. Then we moved back. My mother and father were both from Red Bank, so we moved back there, and I went from there. There are certain people influenced me. My high school coach was very good, probably the best coach in the state, Dr. John Farr. He influenced me a lot. There's a wrestler at Red Bank named Randy Ferris that impacted me a lot. I tell the story that you'd hang around the campus and you'd see all these groups and gangs, and you kind of figure out who the leader is. And I noticed this little kid, and all the big guys are around him. I said, "What is it?" And it was Randy Ferris. Randy signed and went to Oklahoma State, but he influenced me a lot on picking wrestling as a sport.
Isn't it funny how people will influence us and they don't even know they're doing it?
Exactly.
They have no clue.
Yep, that happened. I see that every year when I used to coach. You'd see the little guys, and you'd see who they respect of the bigger guys.
It's hard to hide respect.
Yes, it is. But that's how I got going and been at it ever since. My senior year in college, I had to do practice teaching, and I didn't have a team to work with. So that's the one year in all those years I didn't have a team to coach. But then I came out, and Coach Farr influenced me to go to UTC and wrestle. And then he found out there was a job opening. The head of the boys club in Chattanooga wanted to start a wrestling program. So he called Coach Farr, and Coach Farr pulled me in after and said, "You're going to graduate. What are you going to do after it's over?" And I said, "Well, let me give you this." And he gave me the card, and I went out. He said, "Go to Highland Park out below near McCauley School." So I went there, and that's just when I fell in love. I realized I could coach. I couldn't wrestle, but I could coach.
Why is that different, that you can coach it, but...
I don't know, because wrestling is very different on the elite level. Pro football players, basketball players, they don't go into coaching. Just think about it. Larry Bird didn't coach, others. In college wrestling, if you're not a national champion or Olympic champion, you're not going to get a good job. The best wrestlers get the coaching jobs in wrestling. And then they're the better coaches. Cale Sanderson, Dan Gable, I can go on and on. They were great wrestlers. And then they went into coaching, and they turned out to be great coaches as well.
Is Dan Gable still coaching?
No. He is associate athletic director at the University of Iowa. They bumped him up to one of the administrative. He does a lot of recruiting is what he does.
He's big, isn't he?
Name-wise, yeah, but as a man, he wrestled 149.
How tall is he, reckon?
Dan is probably about my height, maybe an inch taller.
He wrestled in Russia and everywhere.
Oh, everywhere. everywhere. In 1972, Dan won the world championships in 71. In 72, the Russian Federation put out an edict for all their rest. Somebody will beat Dan Gable in the 72 Olympics. I mean, they tried everybody, and they didn't find anybody. Nobody could beat him. And they really respected Gable of the Russians.
Didn't he get the Medal of Honor, I think?
Probably. He's gotten so many. Internationally, he's been recognized. There's an elite Hall of Fame for international, and Dan is.
So he won the national.
Well, that and the Olympic and the Worlds.
Golly.
Yeah. He was phenomenal.
Have we ever had anybody from here that went further than state?
Oh, yeah. They've been further. For me, Howard Langford placed in NCAAs when he wrestled. Quantel Langford, his nephew, won the Southern Conference twice and was Wrestler of the Year. Mm-hmm. But if you're talking about at the World Championship level, no, nobody from around here. We're still waiting. Matt Keller wrestled at Bradley, finished third in the NCAAs, which is the highest anyone has placed from this area. If somebody asked me the wrestlers, who was the best wrestler I ever coached, and I admit that's kind of hard, but Steve Logston and Turner Jackson, who were asked that question when we had our get-together, they said they couldn't name one. I said, well, I can. But the thing is Johnny Lennon, without a doubt, was the best wrestler I coached in high school. But then after he left high school and went to college, Howard Langford would have been the best because he placed in the NCAAs.
Yeah.
So I've got two. Well, I've had more than two, but they stand out.
Whatever happened to them?
Saw Howard. Unfortunately, I saw Howard yesterday. His aunt died, and he is down in Georgia. He's a genius as far as computers go. He's the head of electronics and computers for one of the county schools down in Georgia. And then Quantel, he's really turned into something. He lives in San Diego now, and he has what would you describe his company? Graphic designs. Mm-hmm. He designs the fronts of major wrestling magazines. He's just doing a fantastic job, as well as he runs a fitness center out there and coaches wrestling and martial arts. He has.
Oh, he's busy.
He's got older guys that are fighting and younger kids that he's teaching wrestling to.
What wrestling? Do you think you fell in love with it because of it's a different sport than baseball or football.
Oh yeah.
You ever thought they don't really have you have a basketball arena, you have a football field, but there's not a wrestling arena except for the.
There is a Cleveland.
Thanks to Alan Jones, right? With the Jones Arena.
Yeah. And even before that, now that brick building down there that baseball has taken over, we built that. That was the original wrestling building where the tennis courts used to be.
Yeah.
So, and Cleveland's kind of led the way, and I
that's where I wrestled junior high there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But other schools can be jealous, but I've always thought about we were kind of the leaders and examples of, hey, if you want to do something, if you want to improve, come see us, and we'll be glad to help you. We'll tell you how we did it. We won't do it for you, but we've been a leader in that area. It's kind of strange that my younger son coaches in Middle Tennessee. He's having a real struggle over there. And I agree. He's told the administration over there he doesn't understand why football has a field, baseball has a field. Every sport has an area they can call their own.
Yeah.
But the wrestling team, and they've been quite successful over there, winning the region and all.
So when they get a facility that they call their own, do you think it has a psychological help?
Absolutely, and they take great pride in it. I remember when we first moved in to the current wrestling building, and I won't say what school it was, but we were wrestling a school from the area in a meet, and one of their wrestlers came off the mat and spit on the floor. And I had a 220-pound wrestler named Josh Bonham, and he was sitting on the bench, and he turned to me and he said, "Coach, you see what he did?" I said, "Yeah." And he didn't even say a word. He jumped up and went up in the bleachers after the kid who'd gone up that way and said, "Get down there and clean up that floor." And he did. So the kids take great pride in the facility of the building.
Well, if you do that, you'll probably take pride in what you're in the team spirit, right?
Oh, for sure.
Because wrestling's an individual sport, but it's for the team.
Yes, exactly.
Does that have a psychological effect?
Sure it does. It's different strategies as far as coaching goes, individuals versus a whole team. It's just unique. I think track has that same.
I guess, yeah.
We're very close. I know a lot of rules when we'd come together back when I was I wasn't on the rules committee, but I had an impact. They'd call me into meetings, and a lot of times we'd use, look, track does this. Or track would say, look, wrestling does this. Let's put these two sports together instead of talking wrestling going on basketball rules. It just didn't, it fits with track.
So when over these 45 years, you've won 3, did you say you had 5?
Now, we've got 2 champions. I know this confuses a lot of people because wrestling gets to award 2 state championships team-wise every year. One is the dual meet, the duels, and then the other is the individual tournament.
I see.
And we've been able to win 3 of the. I've won 4 duels in 1 tournament, the big tournament. So that's the 5 that I was the head coach, and then they were nice and asked me to help them along, and I was assistant coach for that string in the early part of this year. Well, it's still going, although I didn't help them last year. But we're up to 18 or 19 state championships now, just in Cleveland.
That's incredible.
And then Bradley has another. Bradley Cleveland dual meet the other night, which was fantastic. They announced, Johnny Lennon was the announcer. We've had, between the 2 schools, 47 state championships between these 2 schools. And I spent today, I put the challenge out to somebody else. I'm trying to find out on the computer, look up, what are the 2 schools that are the closest together in proximity in this whole state? I've never been to a school distance-wise that's closer than
I guess
us
not.
and Bradley.
Yeah.
I remember when Howard and Riverside used, and now that's just proximity. Then, of course, the next question is, have there ever been 2 schools that close together that would compete with each other for a state championship? And that, I don't think, has ever happened. Baylor and Macaulay aren't that close to each other. I just don't think it happened.
There's been a lot of rivalry over the years for Brad.
Absolutely. They said, it's between 2-point-something and 3 miles between.
Is that right? The way the crow flies.
Yes, the way the crow flies between us and Bradley. So, that's amazing for a town our size, anywhere in the country.
What do we attribute that to? Not the proximity, but I mean, how many years ago was it when the wrestling really wasn't even a thing around here?
Oh, that would have been in the late 60s is when, first thing that attracted kids out, we had 3 really good wrestlers that were good in football. First state champion was Bill Emmendorfer, who went on to play at Tennessee, and he wrestled at Tennessee as well. He was SEC champion. Randy Curtis, who was a college teammate of mine, he was state runner-up. And then Ronnie Ware, who played quarterback on that state championship football team, placed in the state. So what we were getting, when I first moved to Cleveland, what I saw is they had outstanding athletes. And because we were having kids win or place in the state, but it was mostly because they were great athletes. And I thought, if I can go in and teach wrestling, then we can make Cleveland a powerhouse. And it took a while. It took a long time. Like I said, I started helping in '73. Dwayne Shriver was the head coach at that time. Did you have him for science, more than likely?
No, but I left there and went to Bradley in high school. But yeah, I remember Dwayne Shriver was one of the wrestling coaches.
Yeah. He was the head coach, and then Bill Talley, baseball coach, stepped down, and Dwayne he had to make a choice. He couldn't do both, and it would have been hard to do both baseball and wrestling. But he stepped down and moved up to head baseball, and that's when I got my chance to be the head wrestling coach.
So it was Dwayne Shriver, you, and Bo Borders. I know Johnny Borders, right?
Yeah, we had a unique. I helped Johnny with football in the 9th grade level.
Yeah.
And then he was my assistant in wrestling at the high school level.
Yeah.
We worked well with each other.
Those are good times, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So what's this a picture of?
That is the state championship
Can you get that
team in, it would have been 94, I believe.
1994. That's
Is that what it says?
Yep.
Yep, 94. So,
Coach Miller, Josh Coleman, Matt Coleman, Billy Curtis, Lee Varnell, Carlos Thompson,
yep.
Joshua
Claybo.
Jason Lander, and Coach Thompson.
Yeah.
So 1994.
That's when we came back. And
Yeah.
we went in 80. And we came close several times.
Yeah.
I know that was another question somebody asked me the other day. Asked me what was the best team I coached. And I even surprised the Bradley coaches. I said, I think the best team I ever had was the 1987 team.
1987.
We finished second in the state that year. But what they had forgotten, and I remembered, is I had a returning state champion on the team named Mike Lennon. The week of the district tournament, he got his ankle stepped on and almost broke it. He didn't score a point for us.
God.
He was out. And then the thing that really gets me, I won't dwell on it, but Macaulay scored more points than we did. They beat us, I think, by 1.5. That's the team when they first learned that Macaulay was offering too many scholarships. And I know one of the kids they recruited from Hickson scored enough points that they beat us in the state tournament. Whereas if they'd gone back and maybe they've done in the past, take away points if you've got an illegal participant, they didn't do that. But that 87 team was really good.
Let me tell you about Capstar Bank. They're located in Nashville, Hendersonville, Gallatin, Athens, Madisonville, Sweetwater, Etowah, and in Cleveland at 950 25th Street and 3855 North Ocoee Street. I've used them. I like them. Give them a try. They're no problem.
Wrestling is one of the sports where you really have to go deep to solve problems when you're on the ground.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got to be dedicated. You got to be able to get up after getting knocked down.
And you got to be able to think and problem solve.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
While out of breath.
Yeah. With somebody beating on your head.
Yeah.
They don't beat on your head, but it does get physical.
I always felt like that stamina was a big, is like 90% of it.
It's huge. It's huge.
But I remember you always more focused on kind of the physics of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? The physics of, I remember the Coach Miller crunch. Do they still teach that?
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure. I don't know if they my name is stuck with it or not, but
a person couldn't get out of it once you got that in.
We didn't like.
I mean, you couldn't do it.
It was very difficult. That was definitely a hole we would go for.
Was there a counter move to that?
Oh, there is, but you've got to hit it before you hit the mat.
That's what I'm saying. Once you get it, I don't think there's a counter, is there?
If you're tough, there is, but it's hard to get out of. So.
I don't know. Once you get your hand on the elbow, there's not much of a way a person can get out.
It's tight. But this team was something else.
Which one's Matt Coleman?
Matt is going to be Matt's down here.
Down there.
The funniest story.
It sort of looks like him.
Yeah. The funniest story in that group is of our heavyweight, Jason Lander.
Jason Lander, right here.
Right here.
Yeah.
Jason his record wasn't that outstanding. He won like 3 matches more than he lost. And he had wrestled, there was a kid from Bristol High School that Jason had wrestled him 2 times already and was going to wrestle him a 3rd time. He beaten us every time. The kid was really good. He was a really good athlete, and he had beaten Jason 3 times. So we are paired up. We're going to meet him in the semifinal. Yeah, Jason had got up to the semifinals, kind of surprised some people. But anyway, we're in McClellan Gym. Anyway, Jason throws the kid to his back, And I get all excited, well, golly, we may pin this kid. And he was getting towards having a CMC or a lock on. Out of nowhere, 2 wrestlers on the mat beside us come into our mat and fall on these 2.
Golly, what are the odds?
I've never even seen that happen falling. But the referee has to blow his whistle and have to stop the match. And I go, that's it. There goes the state championship right there. We had a chance to win and advance there. And I go, great. So they get back and they get the 2 wrestlers separated. And the referee blows the whistle. Jason puts a half Nelson, turns the kid, and pins him. We get a fall. Somebody is doing us right upstairs. It had to have been the quarterfinals because, next round was the semi. But that was unbelievable the way that happened.
After 45 years, how do you remember certain matches and stuff like that? I mean, that's an incredible memory.
Well, the other coaches do it too. I know Danny Carson is a walking encyclopedia for Cleveland baseball and football. And when you're down the mat and you work elbow to elbow with these kids and you travel with them and get to know them, you remember things like that.
Did you ever coach Mark June?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes. And you talk about a tough nut. He was, that would have been, 80, our state championship team. Mark is the captain of the team, and we're getting ready to wrestle the semifinals. And he has a kid from Baylor he's wrestled twice already, and both matches have been close. So we're out warming up, and one of the kids comes out and into the gym and said, Mr. June, Mark's dad wants to see you out in the hallway. What's wrong? He says, you need to come out here. So we walk out there, and Mark's crying, and his knee cap is on the side of his leg over here.
You mean Carol June?
Yes,
his
Carol,
dad. Yeah.
And I said, oh, what happened? He says, we don't know. He went down on the knee, and it popped over here. It's on the side of his leg. I said, well, great. What are we going to do? And I said, I think I need to go tell Coach Worsham that we're not going to wrestle because there's no sense his kid getting all warmed up and us trying. Carol says, wait just a minute. Or Mark says, wait just a minute. So he and his dad start talking, and he says, don't go tell him because we're going to wrestle. So we put some wrap on him. This was a dislocated kneecap. And I know he was in pain. He went out and wrestled. He got beat 3-2, which cost him the state championship right there. But every now and then Mark would invite me down. You know, he was the head golf coach at UT Chattanooga. And he would invite me to speak to some of his golf team sometime. And I always tell him, you guys have no idea how tough your coach is. So if you want to argue out on that.
What made Mark so tough?
I don't know. I don't know. But everybody
he wasn't that big of a guy,
no,
was he?
We wrestled 105, 106 right in there.
And his brother wrestled too, right?
Yeah, but Mark was much tougher and was a better wrestler. But that was a heck of a team right then. I'll never forget that knee. I almost threw up when I saw the kneecap over on the side of the knee.
Yeah.
That was awful looking.
Do you think wrestling teaches people to go beyond?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you see it in a wrestler's face when he's going to that other place in his mind?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you can. Johnny Lennon, tell stories about him forever, but Johnny was a 7th grader, and it's one of the few times I ever missed a dual meet. But Dwayne Shriver took our varsity up to Bristol to a tournament, and we had at that time it was a big 9th grade league in the Chattanooga area, and we had a good 9th grade team. So I stayed with them and coached them. And Johnny was on that team, and he had done so. He didn't have through the year. I think his record's like 5-3 or something like that. And anyway, he starts wrestling, and we're in this gym. And Johnny had never been in a tournament before. All he'd been in was dual meets, and I could see his eyes. You're talking about his eyes. His eyes start looking around, and sometimes that means they're scared. And it's Johnny like, hot dog, I got an audience. And that weight class he was in ended up having 4 kids at one state in that weight class. Anyway, Johnny he ends up having to wrestle a kid named Billy Barbie from Hickson. And it gets down to, it's close to the end of the match, and the score is 14-13. in favor of Barbie. Johnny's 1 point behind. Johnny gets real nervous, and they call timeout, and Johnny goes, "Coach, my stomach doesn't feel too good." And I said, "Get back out there." I said, "Swallow it if you have to."
Yeah.
He'll always get me on
Yeah.
that one. He goes out, and there's like 2 seconds left. He puts his hand on top of the head and just jumps right over the top of Billy. Comes up on top and gets 2 points and wins. And that was one Johnny story. And the other one is we're at the national, at the high school nationals at the University of Iowa. And we were there, and there's two styles. I'm probably confusing a lot of people, but there's two styles of wrestling in the Olympic level. There's freestyle, which we do a lot, and the other is Greco-Roman, where you can't use your legs. It's all upper body throws. So I didn't read the letter close enough, and we got there early, a couple of days early at the tournament. And so we're out just warming up, wrestling around, and Johnny says, "Coach, what's this Greco-Roman you're talking about?" I said, it's another style. He said, "What is it?" And I started explaining it to him, and he says, "Well, we do throws. What are we going to do for the next 2 days?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "I'm going to go sign up." I said, "Okay, go." So Johnny goes and signs up, and we get the pairings, and I know what's coming. So he goes over and starts warming up, and the announcer comes on and says, "Would your attention, please, fans? Coming up next on mat number 13 is," and he gave this kid's name, Chris Whalen was his name. He said, "Chris is going to be going for his 3rd national championship. Nobody's ever won 3 national championships." Johnny's bouncing around. He goes, "Hey, Coach, I'm on that mat." I said, "Yeah, Johnny, just shut up and keep warming up." He keeps warming up, and sure enough, time goes out. He goes out and he's wrestling Chris Whalen. And long story short, he gets pinned well, not real quick, but he would do a stand-up, and this kid would launch him, would throw him. Johnny would get wrestling, he'd come back and throw him again. But that's another one of the Lennon stories.
So the Greco-Roman is you can throw them with, whereas high school wrestling you can't throw.
You can. It's just you're in control. You can't do it to hurt the other guy. And there are throws in high school. They're harder to get because I can grab. If you're gonna throw me, I can grab your legs and slow you down real quick. Whereas Greco, like I say, you can't use your legs very much.
Oh, I see.
No tripping or no grabbing.
Yeah, that's
your
a
legs.
silly sport, because why wouldn't you use your legs, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a tough sport. That's for sure.
Now, what about grappling? Is that different than wrestling, or is that the same thing?
A lot of grapplers come over and learn wrestling, and a lot of wrestlers go into grappling.
What's the difference?
I don't know. I'm not that familiar with grappling. I'm not sure what the big difference is.
Tapping out.
Oh, okay. You get submission.
Oh,
holds.
you mean like a
Straight
jiu-jitsu
arm.
or something?
Yeah.
Oh, I
okay.
see.
Yeah,
so
I'm just not that
grappling's
familiar
a little
with
more dangerous than
Oh,
wrestling.
yeah, that's for sure.
There's no punching.
Oh. If you go into punching, that'd have to be MMA, right?
Right.
Correct.
Boy, have you ever had anybody advance to MMA?
Well, like I said, Quantel is coaching it. I don't know if he's ever done. Yeah, Matt Keller did it from Bradley. He got into MMA. I haven't had many.
Well, you'd get hit, you'd get hurt before you went very far in that sport.
I tried to focus my kids more towards college and keeping your.
How about the Olympics teams? Anybody that's on the Olympics of wrestling, they're just
Phenomenal.
phenomenal?
Yes.
Are they people that were state champs and national champs
yes.
and just kept going?
Oh yeah, right. And now, finally, wrestlers can make money wrestling. Whereas used to when Coach Gable wrestled, he would have won another gold medal, but he had to go to work and earn a living. Mm-hmm. And whereas the Russians, mm-hmm. they paid their athletes for years and years, but now you can make our better wrestlers make really good money.
So now you can wrestle in for the Olympics and make money.
Yes. Yes.
Who was it? Was it John Thorpe that got all of his Olympic medals taken away because he
played on a baseball team in the Appalachian League.
Yeah.
Jim Thorpe. Yep.
Jim Thorpe.
Yep.
They said the greatest athlete ever lived.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but
he was a good one.
He won like 4 gold medals or something like that.
Let's see. He won decathlon. That would have been the biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah. He played. He played football for Carlisle, which is the college he went to, and I forget how many touchdowns, but he got tackled one time in the whole game.
Golly.
and the guy that tackled him broke his collarbone, and his name is Dwight
Golly.
Eisenhower.
What, didn't they have pictures of Jim Thorpe or Jim Thorpe wearing two different shoes?
Oh, I don't know. Could have been.
Because somebody stole his shoes before the.
Right.
There's some people who just have an athletic ability like that.
That's for sure.
Can you outwork somebody that's got a talent?
You can outwork them, yeah, but you sure are far behind with their natural ability.
Have you ever seen anybody that didn't have natural ability, but they just worked till they got talented?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
A lot of the times people that are gifted like that, they don't work as hard as the person trying to get there.
I mean, I'll give you one. Heath Esslinger at Bradley Central. Heath will tell you, I forget, he said the other night how many matches he won and lost when he first started. And he stuck with it and ended up outworking people and being a great wrestler.
Yeah, some people that just stick with it. I think that's the key.
It is a lot. You don't usually walk away and come back. You love it. You stick with it. Keep setting higher goals.
Do you think wrestling parallels life events?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Give me an example. Maybe.
Again, some people kind of go through life and don't really have. I call it getting knocked down. A lot of people get knocked down, they don't get back up, or they're very slow. Whereas wrestling teaches you, you're going to lose. You're going to lose if you're a wrestler.
And the other guy's as tired as you are, right?
Yes.
Or close.
Close, yeah. Yeah. I just think it's a great character builder of a sport.
Do you think the mind can take the body further than the body?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can do a lot more than you think you can. And that's the job of a coach, is to get kids to excel, do better than they even thought they could.
Stamina-wise or strength-wise? Or
both. But inside is most important. The inner strength that you've got or can build. But yeah, I've seen lots of kids that weren't that good that turned out to be really outstanding athlete or outstanding wrestlers or athletes.
They just kept on?
Yeah. See, and you got some Carlos Thompson on this team. He was a natural. I mean, Carlos, he was the decathlon champion in state. He was all state in football. Anything he did. I know he said, Carlos would say it didn't come easy, but for the rest of us watching him, it looked easy. He did it. He made it look easy. He was a heck of an athlete.
If you take somebody that's got natural talent and they got a real hard work ethics, they can really go places.
That's your Olympic champions right there.
Can you name many people that were real successful in wrestling that didn't go far in life?
No. I'm sure there have been some, but every sport has them, but I can't think of any right offhand. You put too much into it.
Do you feel like you can't coach now, or you just want to be the assistant?
Yeah, I can't. I've had some health turn against me in the last couple of years that I can't coach anymore. I enjoy talking to the wrestlers and encouraging them, but I just can't physically anymore.
You can't go to the wrestling practice 5 days a week or 4 days?
Not and wrestle with them.
Yeah.
Not and wrestle with them. I just.
You used to though, right?
Oh yeah. I used to wrestle with them up through my 40s, and that's when I learned you better. You heal a lot slower when you're 40. And now I've got some medical problems, but it still doesn't keep me from the matches.
So you really enjoy that? Is it
absolutely
like for Saturday night, the duels?
That was fantastic. That was the greatest atmosphere the other night.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I was hoping back when I first started coaching that I'd eventually see that happening, and it did. The very first time we wrestled Bradley, the very first match I'll remember, we had 1,800 people at that one. But of course that was the newness of the sport. Bradley Central didn't have it until the early 70s. And we hadn't been able to keep it up that much, but the coaches that are there now are trying their best to make it fan friendly.
Do you think the COVID hurt some of that, got people out of the habit?
Might have, but not being in the school, I don't know. I don't want to say whether it did or not because I don't know how. I've talked to some teachers and asked them what's the COVID done, and they said they've seen it a little bit, but I'm not around it enough around the school like I used to.
Yeah,
make
right.
that. I don't want to say what it did or it didn't.
What's the other picture you have there?
See, we got several here. This is just a funny one. This is shows you how tough kids are. This is a kid named Matt Morgan, and he got his eye. He got popped in the eye during the state tournament, and if he
Looks like his lips swollen too.
he's got a big old swollen eye, but we've got this mask we can put on him, and that's what he's wearing to wrestle to play. He needed to score points for us in the state, and he did. But
Tough luck, right?
yep,
Is that you beside him?
yep,
You're wearing the same shirt.
same shirt, and that's Howard Langford, my assistant at that time. Let's see what all we brought several. Well, we've got some on a screen. Here's
Yeah, he can.
one of the things Matt wanted me to talk about is some of my international travels. That was in Russia.
Russia.
That gentleman.
The guy in the middle, is he Russian?
Let me see. There's two. Yes, he's the Russian. And the far one is Sergio Gonzalez. He was a U.S. Olympian back in 1972. He was on the Olympic team. But he and I were coaches of a USA team that went to Moscow back in, when was that, 80?
So you wrestle.
I coached.
You coach, yeah.
Yeah. Coach, we got several.
Is that their real hair?
Oh, that's one of those Russian.
That's a Russian's hat. Yeah.
Russian hat.
Yeah.
What else? Where we got? Oh, this is a team I took to Scotland. That was over Edinburgh.
So how do you get to take these people to these places?
I worked for USA Wrestling, and I took some. They offered a series of a coaches school, and I went through it. And at the end of it, you have to go through the school, these classes, to be eligible to take these teams. And once you get your name gets put on a list, and it kind of comes up. We'll get invited by other countries, and that's what happened. Russia, or in this case, it was England, Scotland. Here's where
Because they got to have people to
they invite,
wrestle.
Oh yeah, they invite us over, and I take a U.S. team. This team you obviously can see.
Yeah.
We took Paris. But I've gotten to make several international trips, which that's an aspect of it I really enjoyed. I didn't enjoy all the paperwork it took to try to get that together, but once we got
I
the
bet
kids
that
together and go.
it'd be harder today, wouldn't it? I guess with the visas.
Yeah,
And,
oh yeah, it would be. Yeah, but I've taken teams to see. I've been to Russia twice. I've been to Bulgaria twice. I took a team to England in Scotland, and I've taken 2 Bulgarian teams. I guess that's it, and 2 French.
Is there any
French.
nationality that's better at wrestling?
Russia. There's no doubt.
What makes them so much
Yeah,
better?
it's their national sport. One, people don't realize it. It's
They're not like different body types that makes them good at wrestling, or
no, I don't think so. They are good. They're
do they have different moves? I mean, would you say that in wrestling you've covered all the moves, or are you still seeing new moves?
you'll see a few, but if you go to the pyramids in Egypt, there's some carvings on the wall that shows every single wrestling move we do today
Is that right?
is there, except for, and you have to Granby roll, which is a unique American move. It's not on the walls in Egypt. I went and looked; it's not there. But
What's that consist of?
it's just a series that Coach Billy Martin, a high school coach in Virginia, created back in the 1950s, and it's just a move where you control the other man's wrist, and you can take that wrist and take him to his back, and it's a unique series.
Wrist control.
Yeah.
They use a lot of that in MMA.
Do that, but yeah, the international each country develops certainly their own unique, but everybody's trying to copy the Russians now, and it's so tough internationally because a lot of the Russians have left their country and now are wrestling for other countries, and but I've enjoyed that.
Some of those Russian wrestlers get more popular than some of the government officials.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of them are government officials too, and I'm sad to say, this is the truth, that in several of these countries I've been to, the wrestlers, they run the country. They run the country. They are very well known. They're the mafia, and I've never been in a situation like that. But I've been in a couple now where I walk into a restaurant, or particularly with a bar, and the people turn around and see who I'm with, and it's just amazing. They just scoot back, give me their chair. What can I do for you? You can just. I don't like that, but I don't like having people be afraid of me. But
Yeah.
that was, they were afraid.
You went ahead and took the seat anyway.
I took the seat anyway. And said and told him thank you. Yeah.
What about when I was in school, Hank Howard was the big guy coming up that sort of
Hank just
disappeared.
Yeah, you got two brothers, and you'd think, but both of them, Johnny Lennon there with his brother, and Hank and Jeff. One brother just absolutely loved it, and the other
Hated it.
I don't know if he hated it, but I don't think Hank found a challenge in it. It all came very easy for him. So they're different brothers, but yet I can't explain it.
Whatever happened to Hank?
Hank lives over in Polk County, and I keep up. I see his dad every now and then around town, but he would have sure helped us. I had a rough year. That was rough coaching. Going into the state that year, or going into the season, we were ranked number one team in the state of Tennessee, and I had 3 returning All-Stars. I had Hank was returning state champion, and then who was my other? Oh, Shelton Langford. He was outstanding. And David Fountain.
Oh, I remember David.
Yeah.
He was tall, wasn't he?
Yeah, but Hank, after about a week into the season, said, I don't want to do it anymore. And Shelton played, that was the year we made the football finals, and Shelton blew his knee out in the state championship. I didn't get a match out of him. He didn't wrestle at all. We ended up with a losing record that year. It just, one of those times, things just fell apart.
David stayed on, right?
Yeah, he stayed on. He won the tournament. He won the state championship. Wrestled a kid. Now, this is before. Now we have weight limits on heavyweights. You can't wait. But David is the last heavyweight to win the state championship when it was unlimited. It wasn't 285. It was unlimited. And this kid, he wrestled in the state finals. They had the old meat scales that they weighed on. He got to 450, and boom, he was over that. And David weighed in at 206.
He was a big guy himself.
Yeah, but 206. Yeah. David's the lightest person to ever win a heavyweight championship. And we definitely had some plotting and some strategy, and people wonder how we won it, but we won 1-0. But you couldn't get under the kid. I mean, you could not get under him. And we had one chance to get away, and we've been talking about all week. And sure enough, the referee blows a whistle, and David, he's out. That's the 1 point he got. After that,
is that right?
After that, we did what the other guy did. We blocked and stayed away.
So he got the point. He got a point quick.
Quick. So that was.
So there's some strategy. You're always
absolutely.
You're looking at what the other opponent is and what's the best way to wrestle him.
And a lot depends on the situation of wrestling. But by that I mean, are you going for the dual championship, or are you going for individual? If you're going for the dual, you might just not get pinned to save the points for your team. Whereas in the individual, you don't want to just lose close because you've been beaten. So you have to win. So that calls for different strategies.
Well, that's the stuff that regular people don't know.
Right. That's what we as coaches in the area, like Steve Logston and Turner Jackson and myself, are trying to educate more and more people. So because we recognize people don't understand the sport when they come in.
No, I would have never known that. I thought you just tried to win.
Right. No.
And pin them.
All right. No.
It's about the points and winning the tournament.
Yeah, for the dual tournament.
Yeah.
For the team, yes.
Yeah.
And then when it's individual, you can ask your coach for help, and we help them, but you better come up with a plan in your mind of what you can do in order to win the match.
You know, it's kind of like cycling the Tour de France. It's hard to understand that,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's all about this. It's more strategy than anything, maybe.
I agree. I want to understand that because I love watching that in the summertime, but I don't understand all the.
I don't either. I can't, and I ride bikes, but I can't understand
No.
what they're trying to do and trying to. I don't understand.
Right,
it.
right.
I guess it has to do with just trying to. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know how you can win it one today and tomorrow you come in last.
Yeah, or they'll say so and so's in first place, but he's laying back today.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what does that mean?
Right.
So what's the other picture?
Let's see. We got several on line, right?
Yeah.
Here, let's see. You asked about Mark June. There's
oh
Mark.
yeah, Mark June.
And
Which one? Let's see. Mark's right here, right?
Yep.
I didn't realize he was that tall.
And that's Johnny. Well, these two guys are like 5'2".
Oh. Mark was fit, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
He's still fit, isn't he?
Everybody that wrestled him, that came off the mat, talked about how big Mark's hands were.
Mm-hmm.
And even in golf, they tell me it's his grip and what he can do with his wrist.
He lived and breathed wrestling.
Yes, he did. And when he was inducted into one of the Hall of Fames, he made a comment that growing up he wanted to be a wrestling coach. He never saw himself being a.
He lives in Chattanooga, right?
Yes.
I hadn't seen him in years.
And anyway, I sent a little note to him and I said, I wish you'd had a chance to be a wrestling coach. And he sent back to me, he says, I wish I had too. Because he still loves it. Big follower of UTC wrestling.
I think his dad died recently.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
What's that picture right there?
Let's see. This is Nathan Jones.
John.
Nathan made the state finals and was going to wrestle Bryant Blackman from.
Looks like he's excited. He's glad he won.
No, he didn't.
Oh,
what
he didn't.
happened is he had 102 temperature and he had a broken ankle and he wanted to wrestle and I wouldn't let him. So we forfeited to Bryant and he finished second in the state.
God, but he's still mad at you.
He went on and became an All-American at Carson Newman.
Oh.
He was athlete of the year for the whole campus at Carson Newman. He had a great career up there, but he was an All-American. And my son Brett had a lot to do with a lot of picking these pictures out. Let's see. These are just some more team pictures that we've got, and
This here is, this is fairly recent, isn't it?
no, let's see. Nope, not if that's Andrew Thompson. You know Andrew?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know his dad, Andy.
Yep.
He
that's
looks
him.
just like him, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
yes, he does. Yes, he does. And here's what we get a lot of.
Is this you right here?
Yep.
That's your signature, one of your signature ties?
Yes.
Didn't you wear it during the matches?
Oh, yeah. I wore ties just about right up. I was the only one still wearing them.
Yeah.
Tie and khaki pants and a bandana in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Other teams, I found out later, the kids started kidding me, said other teams used to call me Coach Bandana. But it was because of Andrew. Andrew was wrestling, a really good kid, and he got hit on the lip, busted his lip open. And we couldn't get a trainer over anyway, and I ran out there real quick with a handkerchief and put it up there, and the referee said, Coach, you got to stop that bleeding or you're a forfeit. And he got right down to it, and I said, we got to do something. So I put that bandana on there and pressed it in, and he was able to finish the match, but I always thought, I don't ever want one of my kids to lose a match because I don't have a handkerchief ready. So I kind of...
And the old timers always carried handkerchiefs anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
This is kind of you swap gifts when you wrestle. That's what we got from Slovakian Federation, something I got as a coach.
Is that an illegal move?
No, that's a crossbody ride with the wrist. No, it can become illegal.
If you grab the other one, right, then it's illegal.
The key is if you go back that way and twist the arm away. But
in MMA, they'd clap. In wrestling, they'd suspend you. Was it Mike? Were you coaching when Mike Holden got hurt?
Mike Hodnett, yes,
Mike
I was.
Hodnett got hurt.
Yes, I was.
God.
Yep. It was, and I still, if I see it again, you would think it reminded me a lot of this football player the other day for the Bills.
On the courthouse square at 30 2nd Street is the law firm of Logan Thompson Law. Since 1965, they have served the legal needs for the good citizens of Cleveland Bradley County. If you've got a problem, they're no problem. Give them a call.
What came to my mind is when that football player got hurt. He was a hard hit, but nothing unusual.
Oh yeah, that's right. That
And the
Hamill
thing,
guy.
when it happened to Mike, and we were very fortunate, the referee was who he was. I knew Taft Walden was the referee. He was an experienced wrestler, and he said all along, he said, something just looked strange. So I went down and blew the whistle. They didn't continue wrestling. And they laid him out and just kept him still. But he wasn't slammed, he wasn't thrown, he didn't hit bad. Doctor still don't know what happened. That part of his neck was weak, and it.
Maybe that's what it was. He had a.
Oh yeah.
It would have happened next month or some other time, right?
It happened in a weak part of his body. That's for sure.
For whatever reason, it was.
Yeah, because I saw it. I mean, I'm looking right at it, and I didn't think. We tried a move with the arm.
I mean, it wasn't an illegal move or nothing.
Oh no, it was not illegal at all. But just one of those freak things, like the football player the other day.
He sure was successful, though, wasn't he?
Oh, yes, he was.
He held in there, and he always had a good attitude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hated that, and that really hurt the sport. But I just because Mike just came out because his buddies wrestled. He had never wrestled before.
He probably wasn't a big guy anyway, right?
No, he weighed about 160 pounds.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he played on the football team. He didn't get to play very much. But that's what he told us when he came out for wrestling. He said, I didn't get to play much football, so let me see. We said, we'll let you wrestle. So, yeah.
About what year would that have been?
74. 1974. Happened up at Etowah, in Central High School.
And was in a wheelchair ever since.
Yes.
Boy, that's so sad, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
He was a great guy. You got that other picture? Where's this one at?
Is that the one from Paris?
That's the one in front of the Louvre.
Yeah, that's
In front of the what?
the Louvre,
Louvre.
the museum.
Who
the art
is
museum.
that?
Me and Matt.
Is it, which one's you? I can't hardly tell.
Short one.
Oh, that's when you had a beard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's Matt. Yeah, I can see the resemblance now.
Yeah.
Was he a good wrestler?
Yes. Finished third in the state twice.
Third in the state, twice. What was his, did he have a signature move?
Well, on top, yeah, I guess it would have been a cradle. I always think of, he had a move we call a 2-on-1 where you get your two hands on the other guy's arm and control the match. And I'll never forget that. He was getting beat badly by a kid from Memphis University School. And Matt hadn't been beaten. I think he was undefeated. And this kid was just taking it to him. I don't know what happened to him, but Matt got the 2-on-1. And the kid made the big mistake you can make, and that is he reached over to get Matt's arm, and when he did, Matt just squatted and launched him. And on about the third bounce, we got the pin. But the kid, that's the kid that beat us in the state tournament to knock us out of the finals. But no, Matt was a very good wrestler.
Would you say the movie Vision Quest did more for wrestling than Dan Gable?
No, Lord, no. The good thing about that movie was the music, the sound.
Yeah, soundtrack, yeah.
That's about it.
But the guy on that movie where he was running late at night and when he was cutting weight and dedicated, that's what wrestling to me is about.
It is. It's changed a lot about losing weight. The kids are smarter about doing it.
You know, I think I attribute maybe the fact that I'm not that tall because I always trying to cut weight to stay at 105 or whatever it was I wrestled, and that's probably not good for high school students. I think I'd have done better if I'd have just ate and had that other 5 pounds.
That's true.
I mean, it's silly.
More coaches feel that way now than back when I used to wrestle, and you too.
Yeah.
Everybody thought losing weight was the solution, and it isn't.
And you'd go to the matches, and all you'd have is chicken noodle soup for lunch.
Yeah.
And in cycling, I've found out that the more you eat, the better you can lose weight. It's a weird thing, but
Oh, yeah.
if you don't have energy, you can't lose weight.
Right. And a lot of people think that wrestlers would have a hard time breaking a sweat. No. No. When you break a sweat every day and have a hard workout, it's easier to break.
I can still smell those mats. It's like a rubbery smell.
There's still a smell to them, but not as bad now as the old.
How about the guy in Polk County,
Giussani?
Giussani? He's a real nice guy.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brett, my son, was in Angelo's weight.
Oh, is that right?
The year Angelo won
Well,
the state.
he was the state. I had him here on the podcast.
Did you?
Oh yeah, he's really interesting.
Yes, he is.
And he's
Yes,
not
he is.
just a successful wrestler.
Yeah.
He's successful in a lot of areas.
He's a nice guy.
He is.
Yeah, I've been impressed with the way he's helped some of the.
They didn't
wrestling
really
programs.
have a program, did they?
No, and they get one started and then they don't have it the next year, and you gotta keep it going.
I'd say with him up there, it'll be because he's pretty much
He's helped anybody that's tried to start it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to see him start one.
well. He's doing pretty good with that one up there now.
Is he?
What about these? Now I met the other night the Cleveland High School girls wrestling coach.
Yep.
Who would have ever thought?
I know. Well, that's putting it the way who would have ever thought. But I'm glad for the girls that want to do it. I'm glad they have the opportunity. I don't know how that's going to come out the way I say it, but it's definitely going to help wrestling overall.
It'll help the attendance probably.
Well,
Because you have more men and women watching
and
then.
just the opportunities girls could always wrestle, but they had to wrestle guys. Now they've got
that's
their
right.
own division, and that's what's the good part about it is that they have.
Why shouldn't they have the sport for women also? They have
Right, exactly.
men's and women's tennis. Of course, they don't have men's and women's football. Well, I guess they do, but not in.
I understand it's coming in football.
Well, that'd be expensive.
So,
They can hardly
it would
afford
be,
it.
Would be. Some of the states, Nebraska, I think, is experimenting with it. So
What about these people that think they should take sports completely out of schools?
you better cut out what I have to say on that one. If you can't recognize what sports do, I don't know how I could.
Tell me 3 things sports does.
Get you to school for one.
One.
It's a motivator that you must get there. You must do well in other things besides wrestling. You got to do your schoolwork.
Or you'll get thrown off the.
Yeah.
A sense of.
You learn wrestling, especially. You learn how to be a part of a team for part of the matches, and then you got to learn how to work all by yourself. It's just you. So you get the individual and the team spirit both in wrestling. And I always looked at sports as we had 6 class periods for a lot at Cleveland High School, and I always thought of wrestling was my 7th period, and that wrestling mat was my classroom. I got an extra chance to teach kids than the other teachers did.
And that was you were there another hour when everybody else was going home.
At
Do the
least.
coaches get paid a little extra for that? I guess they do,
a
don't
little.
they?
Yeah,
It's a labor of love, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
One thing I remember, and I'm sure you don't remember, but funny, how things stick in your mind that you have no rhyme or reason why it sticks in your mind. And I'm not making this up. We was at Cleveland Junior High. We were wrestling, and you were on the mat, and you were going over some moves, and you said, I'm sure you don't remember this. You said, guys, in this move, you have to learn to relax, not get excited. And you said, and all through your life, you need to learn when you need to relax. And I've thought of that 50 times. And
Sounds like I ought to be a yoga instructor.
Well, it was a matter of. I think it was a matter of not panicking.
Yes.
And think about what I need to do here, and not get caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
Was that something?
I can remember doing it, especially you say junior high, because I know those junior high guys.
Yeah.
they're going in and they're looking around and their eyes are getting this big and they're tensing up and
Gassing out.
yeah,
Gassing out's a problem, isn't it?
it is. But the reason for you gassing out the most is you're tense and you're tightening up, which is
That's what you were saying.
Yeah, the best one to coach that is Turner Jackson that coached at Bradley. Turner was a great wrestler. I was a teammate of his for 2 years in college, and his high school coach, I think, passed it on to me. He says, guys, it's just 6 minutes. It's just 6 minutes. And that kind of stuck with a lot of people because when you're out there, you think you're going a lot longer than 6 minutes. But Turner was the best. He when that match was over, it looked like he hadn't even broken a sweat. But he was great at conditioning and learning to relax. A lot of it was relax.
If you got enough strength and you can outlast the guy with your lungs, you can win.
You have a definite advantage, that's for sure. You have a definite advantage.
You ever see any of these wrestlers that don't look that strong, but they're stronger than the guys that look strong?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Now, explain that.
Oh, me. Well, you're strong at different levels. How can I put this? I know when we instructed weightlifting, if you can be maybe real strong to here, but how strong are you up here? Holly,
But I mean, some people don't look strong, but they're extremely strong.
that's what a lot of people said about Johnny Lennon, about how strong he was. He didn't look it, but he was. It's learning how to use your body and leverage that makes a difference there. That's the only way I can explain it.
Because it doesn't make sense. When you see that
Right.
in person, it doesn't really make sense.
Right.
Technique outdoes power.
You think that? Do you believe
yeah.
that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I always thought it was stamina.
No, it can be technique would be first thing that you could use.
That's the know-how, right?
Yes. Yeah.
If you was or let me ask you this: you ever watch that movie, Any Given Sunday, with Al Pacino? That speech
Yeah.
he gives.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so true, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's true in wrestling or anything else.
Right.
It's behind the scenes that makes you great.
Oh yeah. 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 A lot of people think they can do a great job coaching, but coaching on Saturday or Sunday or whenever your sport takes place, that's not it. Can you be there Monday through Friday?
Can you keep them from hating you? 'Cause
Yeah.
that'd be a problem, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
oh, sure.
If they don't like, if they don't respect you, they're not going to
Right.
listen to you.
Right. But the work goes into planning practice and meeting kids' psychological needs as well as physical needs. That's what coaching's all about. Not
When you say psychological, you like a down and out, down in the dumps, or girlfriend breakup, or
oh yeah, in high school that's definitely part of it.
isn't that something?
One of the hardest things is to get those kids to change gears, to go from the school building and walk down to the wrestling building. Change your mindset. Quit thinking about, at least give me, when you're in the wrestling building, give me your time, your focus. Don't worry about your girlfriend. Don't worry about school at that time. Focus on wrestling. Now, when you leave my wrestling room, you go home and focus on homework and other things like that.
Well, that's true in life too. You're supposed to live in compartments, daytime compartments,
Yeah.
and not dwell on everything outside.
Right. Right.
Do you enjoy teaching as much as you did, or do you think? I mean, as far as just coaching, if you had your choice, would you just coach?
No, not back then. Now, maybe yes, but back when I started, I enjoyed teaching every bit as much as I enjoyed coaching, and vice versa.
When you went to high school, was you going to be a teacher? Was that what you was planning on doing?
I decided I was going to be a teacher in the 8th grade, and
Is that
it
right?
was a teacher before it was a coach that I
That's your first love, which
was got me involved. Yeah, was to be a teacher.
What made that?
My mom, my mother, encouragement for me to follow history. I became very interested in history. I had an aunt that was really encouraged me. I got really interested in the Civil War, and they provided me all the things to encourage me to learn more and more. But it was be a history teacher first, and then when I met Coach Farr at the high school level, because I was ready to quit my 9th grade year, or going in my 10th grade. I just didn't see it. But when he started coaching, then I fell in love with the sport then.
Well, you've certainly been a success at it.
Well, I've had good kids, and I've been fortunate, and I've made a few right decisions, but I've enjoyed it all along the way.
Do you think that, what does the future hold for you?
For me,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I've got some physical problems that I've got to focus on.
Care to go over them or not?
No, it's people starting to realize now I have Parkinson's disease.
Is that what Michael J. Fox has?
Yes, and Muhammad Ali and a number of people, and I've got to focus on that. And then I've got a grandson that I've got to lives over in Middle Tennessee, and then I've got 2 sons that I need to help and take care of. I hope they need my help.
How do you focus on Parkinson's? There's not a cure, right?
No, there's not a cure.
You just learn to live with it?
No, well, I guess so, but there's a class I take at the YMCA. There's a whole group of us. There's about 20 of us that have,
Is that right?
yeah, Parkinson's, and we do physical therapy on 3 days a week.
Are some worse than you and some not as bad?
Oh, yes. Some have had it longer than I have.
Is it a good support group?
Absolutely. It is a family out there. We love each other, and it's just
It's almost like you're going to wrestling practice.
It is. A good
In a
point.
sense.
Very good point. Because there's days that I don't want to go there, but then it comes back to wrestling. I know if I don't go, I'm giving in to the Parkinson's. I know it's whipping me. And if I can feel lousy and not want to go and be with my companions there, it makes a huge difference in the way I feel.
When you leave there, you're thinking, boy, I'm glad I went, right?
Exactly. That's exactly. And several of us talk about that when we leave. That and another part about which I need to get back into, cycling is really big for helping Parkinson's.
Wonder why that is.
I don't know. They used to. I don't understand either one. We started out cycling. We do a 45-minute cycling 3 days a week. And I don't know.
You mean on those bicycles?
Yeah, stationary bikes. Yeah. We started that way, and for some reason they dropped it. And so I came back to the Y, and they said, we found something else that is better. I said, what is it? It's boxing. So we box for 45 minutes every.
Like shadow box?
No, we got the gloves with, and the Y's got a boxing area back there with heavy bags and punching bags and
not each other.
No, not yet. But it's boxing that we do to try to help. I hope it's helping, and again, it helps when I leave there.
What is it that causes Parkinson's?
Again, they don't know. They don't know.
Is it just you just feel like you got a twitch?
Yeah, well, I don't feel like it. I can't control it. I hope people hadn't been focusing on my hands or the way I know I bob, and I have to try to slow it down a little bit because it does. I just get tense. And
well, you don't look noticeably twitching.
I work at trying to cover it up, but I just hope and pray that they can come up with a cure sometime.
You know, the odds of them coming up with a cure in your lifetime are extremely good.
I hope so. Did
you see that thing where they've actually reversed aging in mice?
Yeah, I think I did see that.
And I mean, this is legitimate. Mm-hmm. It's a legitimate. They've really done it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a scam thing.
Right.
So you read the same article?
I try to read everything I can get my hands on. All Parkinson's affects my reading. I have trouble. One holding the book, but the other is the words going together. But I've read a lot. You got to get something to get our dopamine level to come up. Our body's not producing enough dopamine. That's what causes it, but they don't know what causes that. You know, what's the source of the problem. But
the body really needs dopamine, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. But I hope you're right. I hope they come up with a cure. It's the second fastest spreading disease in the United States and Great Britain.
There's got to be a correlation for something.
Yeah, something. They say it's not related to ALS, but I find it hard to believe because it seems to be very close, but they said it didn't.
Well, who knows, but I got a feeling that you may figure it out if you decide to.
I'll help all I can. I've got to make a big decision soon with there is a surgery that's supposed to help called deep brain stimulation when they get in. I've got to make that decision soon if I want to go that route.
Well, what's the downside?
Well, I don't know about as far as the operation goes. If I don't have it, I'm obviously going to get worse and worse.
Have they had other people that's had success with it?
Yes.
Well, I'd sign up.
Yeah, I'm getting more and more encouragement to do that. I'm thinking more and more to go that route. I mean, bother anybody that they're going to drill into your head. That you're going to have second thoughts. But
yeah, but you know, just
right.
like getting your cavity filled, you know, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. They've had good success with it for what I've read.
Well, I'd hate to be the first one that tried it on.
That's true. That's true.
What's that picture there?
What we got? This is another one, just team pictures. I don't know if you know anybody. Chuck Swafford, do you remember
Chuck Swafford, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I know Chuck.
That's Chuck.
Yeah, he owns a cigar shop.
Yes, he does.
Cigar shop.
Yep.
He is one of the nicest guys you'll ever. Look, you got this, Gwen? He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, isn't he?
Boy, he was.
I bet he was good.
Yeah, he was.
His arms are like.
He was a natural. Benny Monroe tells stories on Chuck. He went to Middle Tennessee, played football, and they were going to redshirt him, and they told Coach Monroe, we can't redshirt him. He's better than any kid we got on the varsity, so he played it right out. This is the 1980 team. That's the first state championship.
1980. Who is that? Who is on that team?
Let's see. Coming across. Me, of course. Jeff White, Bobby Bennett, Randy Bunch, who lives here in town.
Randy Bunch?
Yeah, Randy. Here's Bob Waddell. That's Johnny Lennon. Michael Bowerman. Here's Bob Waddell.
Yeah.
And here's Mark June.
Mark June.
And that's Dwayne Shriver up there. Yep, that was the first team, won the state. We finished third in 79 and then won it in 80. It's funny, a wrestler from East Ridge ran into the other day and he said, we were looking on the wall at East Ridge and in 1980 we had 4 state champions and you had 2 and you beat us. I said, yeah, we
I know that winning's great, but don't underestimate the teams that didn't win because it still provided the
absolutely.
thing, right?
Yeah, you still talk about it.
And
years from now.
It still helped the people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You've done a great job with this, but would you ever thought that 45 years later?
Not some of the things that have gone on, that's for sure. Like that match the other night, I would never have imagined it. I would have been hopeful they would have something like that. You mentioned girls wrestling. I certainly wouldn't have imagined it then.
How many would play on the girls, or how many would they have a full team?
Sure. Yeah, we're getting close to it. I mean, it takes starting a boys team. It takes time.
Yeah.
You come on up, but it's.
And girls are more flexible than guys, so that would help in wrestling.
Oh yeah, yep. So it is it's the second fastest sport growing in the United States right now. Girls, field hockey, lacrosse. Lacrosse is the fastest growing sport, and girls wrestling is the second fastest growing sport in high schools today. So.
There may be one day getting so many sports they don't have time to go to school.
There can be because the big thing is everyone wants money. It takes money to have a
uniforms
good program,
shoes and
right. So
even the referees, you got to pay referees, right?
Yes, and security officers and all kinds of things.
Oh yeah. So this is a picture of what?
Oops. What we got here, Brett?
That was us when we were in Bulgaria. Now you can do it. Make it use your fingers.
Bulgaria.
Make it smaller. Yeah. We were in Sofia.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That was on the national team.
Yeah, this is the guy he's talking about. And I'm sure George was the head of. He owned a travel company, and he got all sports come in, but he was a good wrestler too. He finished second in the world to the Russian.
These traveling sports, that's when they have it off season, and they really.
Yeah, that's another advantage I always tell them of coaching wrestling. You don't have football teams going over to Europe. They don't have it. But wrestling and track and field, you can always find competition over there.
Would you say that wrestling is one of the best sports to build character?
Yes. I guess I'm prejudiced, but I definitely think it is.
Are you proud of your time in coaching kids? And
Yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
more so than any win?
Yeah, yeah. For them to come up years from now and say, you
What
know,
I just did.
I remember your team.
Yeah.
You know, I remember your competitiveness, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate you.
All righty.
coming.
Glad to. Thanks for doing something like
I really
this.
do appreciate it.